Keyonte is a 6'4" guard, 185 pounds. He'll be 19.6 years old on draft night. He played 28.6 minutes per game, averaged 15.3 points per game, 4.2 rebounds per game, 2.8 assists per game to 2.9 turnovers, 1.1 steals, 0.2 blocks. Shot 37.6% from the floor. Not great. 33.8% from three. Just fine. 79.3% from the free throw line on 4.5 free throw attempts per game. True shooting percentage 52.4, PER 17.8, BPM of 5.6. Talk to me about Keyonte as a shooter, because a lot of the numbers don't indicate, how I think we feel about him as a shooter. So why are we buying into that shot?
First off, for me, I feel like he shoots a really easy ball. He's one of these guys that when you watch him shoot, you think to yourself, oh, that's how shooting's supposed to look. And that's just my opinion. Like, I just feel like he has such a pretty form. And once again, it's an easy ball. He's got parking lot range. Reminds me a lot of the guy that we talked about last year that I kept in my top 10 and went really late. And people were like, hey, why did this guy get drafted 30-something by the Mavs? And then his rookie season, he played pretty well in Jaden Hardy. It just like, I feel like George is a really, really, really good shooter. And people will ask, well, okay, if he's such a good shooter, why the hell did his numbers look the way that they did? And my answer to you would be that, yeah, like, I get it. Sometimes you're really good at something and maybe you get a little cavalier with it.
I feel the same way. And I want to play a clip here from a guy who I did comp Keyonte to in my piece that I wrote earlier this year for No Ceilings, in Donovan Mitchell, because this is a guy who, the reason he went where he did, I think, is because people did not fully buy into the eye test with him. In college, his sophomore season, Donovan Mitchell shot 40.8% from the field and 35.4% from three. As a freshman, he was 25% from three. Right. But when you watched this dude, right, like in this clip that we're playing on the YouTube stream, Donovan Mitchell misses this shot, right? But it's the way that he easily gets it off, like undeterred. Like, he's not missing a shot because there was great defense on that possession necessarily. He's missing that shot because he just missed the shot, right? And so you can kind of project that a little bit easier, because it's like, all right, he's just got to continue working on consistency on his shot. I think that's an important part of shooting, because when you're taking shots like this where you're dancing with the ball a little bit and you're able to easily rise up, this is like NBA level stuff, right? I mean, combo moves, two guys on the ball, rise up, splash. That's some pretty looking stuff right there, if I don't say so myself. And it looks similar again to another NBA guy in Jamal Murray. This is a very similar possession at a very similar side of the court. Comes up, two guys, splash. You also mentioned that he shoots an effortless ball. Like, it just floats in the air, right? This is an insanely difficult shot to take and make, with this snatchback, between the legs snatchback, coming off a switch. That's an NBA move. It is an NBA move. And who do we see do that from time to time? Our guy, Donovan Mitchell. So, and this is one of the things, there's a lot of debate in the draft community about why comps are bad or good. And for me personally, this is one of the ways that I use comps. I use comps as a way to, like, where have I seen this before? Does this skill that this college player have work in the NBA? If it works in the NBA, then, and he's doing it in college, right? then I think there's reason to believe that that's going to translate. And if something translates, then I think that's a pretty positive marker and something that, you should watch going forward for Keyonte. These are things that I think are going to translate. I think when you're capable of hitting shots like this, it's the versatility
Yeah.
in his shot profile, right? Like he's not just catching and shooting, he's able to hit these different combos. He's, able to hit you with a snatchback. He's able to punish different coverages, right? Like here he's coming off bigs and drop coverage,
bang,
splash, top of the key, pull up. Like he's going to make those bigs have to come out and guard him. That's what these like 6'4" combo guards, like they need that kind of stuff in their bag. We're showing a bunch of makes. Obviously, he misses some shots too, right? Like the numbers indicate that he misses shots. And a lot of it is because like this is a tough shot that he took. Yeah. He settles for tough shots sometimes. And there is a time for you to settle for these tough shots. But this particular possession isn't one of them. 20 seconds left on the shot clock. Deep step back looks beautiful when it goes in. Sometimes when it doesn't go in, doesn't look as pretty.
Yeah, not so beautiful on this one.
Well, it still looks beautiful. It just doesn't go in. It's $1 million move, 10-cent finish type thing. Right. And that's something that he's going to have to iron out. I mean, Keyonte has to learn how to hone that a little bit. And when to take good shots, when to take bad shots. And that's not necessarily like the easiest thing in the world to learn. But I also think that he has such a diverse shot diet and he's so capable of playing off other guys that he's going to be able to do that. And we see in the NBA the importance of being able to play off of other guys, right? Like you got to make quick decisions. You got to keep the ball moving. Keyonte is a guy who hit 46% of his unguarded catch and shoot 3-point attempts, right? This play that we're showing from Anthony Simons comes off the screen, gives it up quick, gets it back, splash, catch and shoot from the top of the key. That give it up to get it back type thing. At the beginning of the season, that was one of the things that we talked about with Keyonte, that he was not going to be this big playmaker. He wasn't going to let the ball stick all the time necessarily. This clip that we're playing now, if you're watching, it's almost an exact replica of that play we saw from Ant Simons. Give the ball, get it back. Instead of the catch and shoot, he puts it on the ground, but same spot, splash. And this is kind of like why I envision Keyonte playing so well as a combo off somebody like the Jokic-Murray connection. Like obviously Jokic is going to make you look better than any player in the league potentially. He always finds you in the right spots, but it's like Jamal Murray is going to create offense running off movement in ways that he allows Jokic to make use of that plus playmaking. I think Keyonte has a lot of that same stuff where he's going to be running off these baseline flares and like this. He's so good at this little micro skill when he does it for taking him out of that top 5, top 6 consideration. You mentioned him, kind of using his shooting as a means to attack closeouts. Like this is a good example of that here. No matter what his percentage is, you get sent into a panic when he's open on the perimeter. And when that happens, guys are going to have to come out at him. You're on red alert. And the big is a little jumpy, 2 feet, gets to the free throw line, drops it in, teardrop.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about influencing a defense, like that's some special stuff. I mean, right? Like head fake, he's in there. 2 guys react to him. He had another guy in the dunker spot. Like it's awesome stuff, man.
Let's talk about the finishing now because we talked about how he loves absorbing contact, and we think that he's a guy who is going to really thrive in situations where he could attack closeouts and use that shooting gravity as a means to get to the rim. Does a great job here. This is something that he showed off in high school a lot, that ability to get hang time. Like he might not have a ton of dunks, although there's a video circulating on the internet showing the bounce that he does have on a healthy ankle, but right into a defender's chest, goes through them, and is willing to finish through contact. And that willingness to embrace contact, I think, is just so important. And it's a skill that guys who have success in the NBA. Another guy, I think we mentioned him already on this podcast, who we've seen that from this year, Jaden Hardy. Goes up, hang time, embraces contact at the rim. This is the kind of stuff that I believe is going to translate to the next level.
And the hang time that he gets, the ferocity, the physicality that he has, all of these things are really important, man. And we talk about 3-level scoring all the time, and how that translates. Some of it's theoretical, but he showed it. He showed it, man. The way that he attacked the rim, we mentioned before, the free throws, all that stuff. That's a really tough take against, I think that's Kalkbrenner, right? It's he's got it, man. He absolutely has it. This is not weak stuff. This is a strong physical take. This isn't like Zaire Williams his freshman year at Stanford. There's some real physicality here.
Like, this is stuff that he's been consistent with throughout the entirety of his career. Like, he's a tough dude. Toughness is a skill. Yeah. Toughness is a skill, and he's a tough dude who I think, as his body continues to get stronger at the next level, I think this is something that he's going to be able to rely on. And just as he's versatile in the way that he can get into shots, like, he's got some pretty crafty finishes. We talked about him knocking down shots in drop coverage and how hard he's going to be. Well, he's going to be able to attack that big too. So, like, it's not just like he's going to settle for that three all the time. He's going to be willing to get downhill. And if he sees a big that he can get on their heels, like, that little cross jab move, that's tough, man.